What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Football Game Show brought to you by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my cheese and co-host, John Luke Garofalo, and joined today by our great friend, Alex Caruso. Alex, thanks so much for taking the time to come and hang with us on a Thursday.
How could I not want to come to hang with you guys on a Thursday afternoon? There's football on. There's football to be talked about. You can just never get enough football, but I appreciate you having me back for, I don't even know how many times now, but I'm excited.
Probably a million.
If Greg shows up, he'll know exactly how many times you have been on. And Alex, the show on Thursdays really does change my mindset going into the rest of the weekend. Like, it marks the moment, I feel like, when week 14 starts. Like, the second this show starts, like, I get off, and that's when I'm stressing every start-sit decision that I've been kind of putting off throughout the week. Every last-minute trade earlier in the season I'm trying to get through. It's this Thursday afternoon window between this show and Thursday Night Football where my fantasy brain really gets tickled. Well, guys, if you are not already following our friend Alex on social media, you need to go and fix that right now. Not only is he handsome, as you can see on the screen below us, but he's helping you win some. He's helping you with some winning picks as well. You can find him on Twitter at Alex Caruso, and you can find him on TikTok at Alex Caruso Bets. He's putting out daily picks for you over there, not just NFL either. I know we talk NFL, but he's been converted over to that NBA side and having some pretty good looks so far this season.
Yeah, you've been hitting them. You had a couple bets hit the last couple weeks, haven't you, Alex?
It's been pretty good. Just trying to keep after it. Just try to do the research, put in the time, and let the rest fall where they may.
Joey, Simon, now we gotta sit down here on the ground, just like trying to shoot Alex out of the air.
I'm talking to Joey, and he's telling me that he's been getting into NBA betting. And it's because Alex is into NBA betting, is what I found out. He's just tailing your picks, Alex, and it's been working out all right for him so far this year.
I love it.
We got some people in the chat ready for today's show. I see Grim in here with a couple questions for us. We will get to those ever so shortly. Albert's stopping by with a hello, everyone. What's up, Albert?
Hello, Albert.
Matt couldn't care about us, but is excited to see Albert in the chat. What's up, Matt? Welcome in, my friend.
Enjoy each other's company.
Dame says, hey, FYF. What's up, Dame? Glad to have you here. Dustin says, I'm leaving in protest. # Team Joey. Well, Joey's body has quit in protest. He is ill today. We're not quite sure what it's protesting, but there's a long list of things that it could be angry about. We got Scampers in here with the hi, FYF fam.
Yo.
What's up, Kitty? And Dustin said, Alex, 7th time on the show. Went back to our logbook and found it. Also, Matt says, nice Rashard Higgins jersey in the background, JL.
Oh, Matt. You know that's not right.
It's always funny. Well, before we get into our draft today, which we're going to be redrafting the 2023 rookie class, making our own big board, going back through from an NFL perspective and drafting these rookies with 13 weeks of data, film, statistics, and love that we have formed for them. We've got a couple questions in the chat. Graham wanted to know, out of these players, he needs to start 2 in a full PPR league. Alexander Mattison, Rashad White, Isaiah Pacheco, and Rashee Rice. Now, there is some concern about Pacheco playing this week. I believe I read that he didn't practice again today. So this is now 2 days in a row, Wednesday and Thursday. We haven't had a practice from him. So I guess take that into consideration. Alex, which way are you rolling here?
I think you have to stick with Rashad White. He has been one of the best players in all of fantasy at the running back position this year. I think he's the easy start here. If I had to go for a second guy, it's probably Pacheco if he plays, even if he's limited. If he finds a way to play, it's definitely him. If not, I'd probably be going for Alexander Mattison. He's still getting volume, still seeing a lot of snaps.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Madison's my backup if Pacheco doesn't play, but I want to put in the 2 guys who have been killing it the past couple of weeks. Jill, what about you?
Yeah, Kansas City, Buffalo. Remember last year? Remember that game last year?
Oh, man.
The total on this game is set at 48.5 currently. And so they're expecting a lot of points to be scored. I think Pacheco's going to be part of that. So I'm with you guys, with Alex, throwing him in. If he is, unless we get other news before game time, I'm starting Pacheco.
None of us mentioned really Rashee Rice as a startable player, though, but I do think, especially in this matchup, he's been on the field a decent amount the past couple weeks, and I feel like he's tricked us a couple times this year, but this feels like a game where if you need to start at wide receiver, Rashee Rice is a guy that you could hope for a big touchdown from.
Yeah, there's no bad options this week.
In that match. It's the inverse of tonight's game with that 48.5 point over under. I think there's only bad options and Ezekiel Elliott tonight. Speaking of which, Grim had another question. Needs to start 2 of this bunch: Puka Nacua, Ezekiel Elliott, Isaiah Pacheco, and Brandon Cooks. John Luke, We talked a bit about Pacheco in the last one. If you have to start two of these players, who's it going to be?
It's going to be Pacheco and Puka Nacua.
Pacheco and Puka Nacua. Even in the tough, they're expecting bad weather and against the tough Ravens secondary for the Rams this weekend. That doesn't scare you away from him?
Does not.
What about you, Alex?
I feel the same way. I think that's the good way to go. JL said it best.
I'm not afraid of plugging in Ezekiel Elliott in tonight's game. I know the upside is probably lower than Puka Nacua's upside, but that seems like how this team is going to have to play tonight. Ezekiel Elliott should get the volume. It feels safer. Maybe if you need upside, don't plug him in there. But everyone's agreeing on Isaiah Pacheco. Grim fan. Also, Dustin stopping by saying Joey's got the tummy trembles because he dropped Tommy Tremble. 100.
Shouldn't have done it.
Should have never done it. And here's our chat historian coming in, backing up the data that Dustin gave us earlier, saying it is your 7th FYF appearance, and he's also super sharp on his NFL and NBA player prop recommendations.
Oh.
Facts.
All right. Well, guys, we're going to get into our draft here. The order has been randomly determined before we started. Okay, I lied. I picked it. Alex is going first. JL's going second. I'm going third. We're going to snake draft our way through this, redrafting the 2023 NFL rookies as an NFL team. Now, that being said, Alex, your picks are not all on the same team. So say you draft a quarterback in round 1, but there's another quarterback that you think is the best available player at round 2. You should take the best available player. Okay. That's how we're going to roll it. All right. You've got the first pick, Alex. With the first pick, redoing the NFL draft after 13 weeks, who would you be taking here?
I mean, I don't think there is any other option you could possibly take than CJ Stroud. I think he's got to be the best option of this draft class so far.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
And there was a shout out to Dustin in the chat. And I know there was a contingency pre-draft, post-draft, hyping up CJ Stroud as the best quarterback in this draft and saying, why is everyone so worried about those Wonderlic scores? Did you watch him play at Ohio State? And turns out they were right. CJ Stroud looks pretty freaking good. I don't know how you could argue against that. JL, is that where you would have gone?
Probably, yeah. CJ Stroud is definitely at the top of the list. He's looked so good. He's looked so good this year. And quarterback, I mean, if I'm a GM and I can lock in a quarterback that looks that good, you got to go that route.
Dustin said should have been the 101 then and is the 101 now. Well, Dustin, you made that known and we agree with you. Are you guys starting CJ Stroud with any confidence this weekend against New York in a bad weather game without Tank Dell?
I'm definitely hesitant. I just picked up Nico Collins I'm still alive in my one of my 2 guillotine leagues.
Yeah, but not the listener league.
But not the listener league. The one that matters, I'm not in. But I just picked up Nico Collins for cheap. And I'm like, oh, should I throw him in? No. Not in a guillotine league. I got amazing players on my roster. I'm not taking a chance with Nico Collins. I still think you can start him this week, but I'm not throwing him in just because.
Alex, are you scared off of Stroud this week, or are you still plugging him in if you've been starting him?
I think you have to plug him in. I mean, he continues to prove people wrong. I wouldn't say it's like full confidence that we're going to see like one of his best games, but you know, he's been a top 5 quarterback in fantasy football this year. When guys play that well, it's really hard to sit them.
Well, John Luke, CJ Stroud off the board. I imagine you were hoping he would be sitting there at your draft pick, but you're up next. Who would you be taking at this position with the information we know now?
I would like to take Justin Ross.
Justin Ross. Okay,
no, just
perfect.
kidding. Please don't give me Justin Ross. Please. I was just talking about Justin Ross, so he's in my head for some reason. All right, my next.
He's so fast.
So fast.
I'm pretty sure he might still be on one of my dynasty rosters. Like there might be one team where I'm still just holding on to Justin Ross.
Oh, I'm sure I am. It's on a bench somewhere.
Oh, wait. I was thinking John Ross.
Oh, that's a different guy. That's a different guy entirely. This is wrong. All right, my next pick, I'm gonna go with Bijan Robinson. It feels chalk, but I don't know. I'm not taking any other running backs over Bijan. And the wide receivers are great, but I like Bijan better.
Well, John Luke, I like that pick for 2 reasons. One, it made my next pick easier. There's a little bit less pressure on me with the player that I take next, I think. And 2, Bijan's talent, what we've seen this year. I know last week wasn't so great on the ground as everything that it was hyped up to be. It's just been usage from Arthur Smith that has been frustrating as far as Bijan goes.
Right.
Alex, from a dynasty perspective, if you've got Bijan Robinson, where does he slot into your dynasty running back rankings? Is he top dog? Is he number one?
Oh man, I think he's still got to be number one. I think that Arthur Smith has to be on his way out the door. And I think the second he's gone and they bring in an offensive-minded coach, Bijan is pretty much almost immediately like the number one or number two pick in fantasy football. He's seen increased usage the last couple of weeks. He's been productive when given the touches, and I think that he's productive even more with any other coach not named Arthur Smith.
And it seems like maybe they finally figured out that they shouldn't be giving the ball to Tyler Algier as much as they have been. It only took like 12 weeks to determine that he shouldn't be getting 25% of the carries.
Less attempts?
So now they're just giving it to Cordero Patterson. I mean, not much better, but yeah.
Craig down here saying, Simon, start Justin Ross in the FYF Guillotine League Championship this week as a power move. You think with 2 teams left, I should plug in Justin Ross as a Hail Mary power move to try to beat Anthony?
Questionable.
I do have a question for you guys. We'll get to it later with a start sit in that league. And it's maybe the most confusing player to think about sitting right now. Grim had a question for us, wants to know, as we were talking about CJ Stroud, should Houston make the playoffs? And do you see them going at least to the AFC Championship game or no? So, Alex, do you think this Houston team is a playoff-bound team?
I think they're probably a playoff-bound team, but with no Tank Dell and with the fact that it is still a rookie quarterback, no matter how great he's been, I don't think that they're going to make it all the way to AFC Championship. We rarely, if ever, see that with any rookie quarterbacks, no matter how great they were in the regular season. So I think I would lean against that, especially after losing one of their top weapons. But I think just the fact that they made the playoffs is a win as a franchise for a whole.
Facts, yeah. D'Amico Ryans coming in has looked very good. Like just what he's been able to piece together with not much capital or not much leverage really in his camp. I've been wildly impressed with what he's done with that team. So I'm with you, Alex. I mean, it seems at this point that it is fairly likely they're going to make the playoffs. But yeah, I think they're going to have struggle once they get there.
God, and CJ Stroud is, I think, slowly becoming every NFL fan's second favorite player. Know what I mean? They'll love someone on their team, but no matter who your allegiance lies with, it seems like no one hates the Texans. Here's this rookie quarterback who's come in lighting the league up, who was doubted. I don't know many people who dislike CJ Stroud. People love rooting for this kid, and that's fun for the Texans to have a player like that. But I'm with you guys. Probably not a deep run this year. But with the top running back off the board, there's not much separation for me at the very top at the wide receiver position. So there's a bunch of guys that I like. But there are still 2 quarterbacks that I think deserve to be at the top of this draft board. One that showed out at the beginning of the year, and I'm going to take him first in Anthony Richardson, and then followed by Bryce Young after Anthony Richardson is the next quarterback. So switching up the order that the quarterback's going. And I know that Bryce Young hasn't looked great this year, but I still buy into the talent. It was a rough start for the Carolina Panthers team as a whole. And we have seen flashes of maybe why he was taken first overall. But I think Anthony Richardson definitely deserves to go ahead of Bryce Young after what we saw to start this season.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. And I was hoping one of those 2 guys would fall back to me. I'm like, man, Bryce Young will fall. No way. Everyone's down on him right now.
No, I still think first overall quarterback, there's a reason he was drafted there. I know he's like 5'4", and has only thrown the ball to Adam Thielen 17 times this season, but I still think there's still a good dude. Alex, are you out on Bryce Young after what we've seen this season, or do you think he can turn it around in year 2?
You can't ever be out when your best player is Adam Thielen right now. No disrespect to him. He's having like a complete resurgence, but I think that Bryce Young, not in his first year as a rookie and not having a 33-year-old slot guy as his number 1 option, I think that, again, I would not definitely be cooked on him just yet.
Looks like we have a guest appearance from the man whose body quit on him himself, Sicky McSick. Boy, Joey, did you have something you wanted to add to this? You just couldn't stay quiet with us talking about Anthony Richardson?
No, I wasn't even watching. I was watching from the beginning. I'm sorry. And I saw Dustin was sad that I wasn't there. So I want to come on and say hi to Dustin. But yeah, everybody go check Alex's picks because I'm rich.
It's a nice fake sick voice.
Huh?
That's a nice fake sick voice.
I'm not sick. Hey, yeah. Keg in the back. Thanks. Yeah. Okay. I wanted to interrupt and do that thing I do.
Well, Joey, since this is officially paid time off, we will make sure you still get your peanuts in the mail today, since this is an approved sickness.
We should probably boil them. They'd be good for my throat.
You're right.
Boiled, like hot. Yeah.
We'll send your peanuts pre-boiled this time.
For your throat.
All right.
Bye, Joey. Bye, Joe.
Bye.
Dustin saying hi to Joey, and then also saying Will Levis deserves to go ahead of Bryce Young. Well, we'll see how far down Will Levis goes. And do you guys have any idea how many times I've watched that replay of Will Levis throwing the interception, then immediately sprinting down, forcing the fumble and picking it up? Like the second the ball leaves his hand, that dude knows it's a pick. Like he doesn't even hesitate for a second. Most quarterbacks throw and watch. He's like, while throwing, is already running to go tackle the guy.
Yeah, he was ready to make a play. That was
just makes me giggle every time I watch it. That's I was not a Will Levis fan before that play, but to have the heart to run like that down the field and make that play is hilarious.
John, do you think Will Levis is going to be the quarterback there in Tennessee next year, Alex?
Man,
I think he has to be at this point. I don't think they have a much better option, and I think that they've seen some signs that he could be pretty good. Again, the hustle, the determination in a play like that, like Simon just mentioned, I think is great. But I think, like, will he start a game next year, at least one? I say definitely. Will he start the whole year and be their franchise QB? I'm not as convinced. But again, just like Bryce Young, it's still early. It's only been a few games.
Yeah, and the NFL, or at least as fans, we seem to have a habit of wanting to throw away quarterbacks the second they're not good, especially these young guys. John Luke, this puts you back on the clock. The top 3 quarterbacks gone, the ones who are at the top of the NFL draft, and 1 running back drafted by you. Where are you going next?
All right, my next pick is going to be the man who I can't seem to remember, Sam Laporta.
Oh, stolen.
Stole him? You're about to take him on the turn?
Definitely.
Yeah, I got to lock in that tight tight end. Dude, he's looked so good this year. And I just feel like Dan Campbell is not the type of guy to like shift his strategy. He's just going to be like, nope, I'm just going to go ham on tight end for the next 3 years.
No, Sam Laporta, even with the addition of Jameson Williams back into this offense, right? There was concern that maybe his volume was due to just opportunity. We're still seeing Sam Laporta show up not just as an every week startable tight end, but as an every week must start tight end. Like the only players you're considering over him are Travis Kelce, TJ Hawkinson with Mark Andrews out injured, maybe George Kittle, right? Like you look at this list of names, Sam Laporta, like, is he the dynasty tight end 1 at this point? I know we're talking NFL, but he's got to be the number 1 dynasty tight end ahead of Travis Kelce.
I think I have to check this. I was looking earlier in the week. I think he might be in Fantasy Pros ECR in Dynasty. I'll double check.
I'm not surprised by that at all, especially when, I think going into this year, there had been 1 tight end in the last 23 years to finish top 5 as a rookie. That is like beyond ridiculous. So he'll be the first guy in almost like a quarter of a century to finish top 5.
Was it Evan Ingram?
I think it was Evan Ingram, actually. Because Kyle Pitts was number 6, but I think that Evan Ingram was actually the guy that finished number 5.
Wow. So, and Sam Laporta is number 1, and he's according to ECR, Dynasty ECR on Fantasy Pros.
That's wild. Mark Andrews coming in and having great seasons, couldn't dethrone Travis Kelce, number 1 overall. TJ Hawkinson couldn't dethrone him up there at the top, but what we're seeing
Kelce's just age.
Special.
I feel like Kelce's just getting dragged down by age slowly every year. He's so good. He's like fighting against it.
And this season, slowly being dragged down by the floundering Kansas City offense. Floundering with respect to previous Kansas City offenses, not average NFL offenses.
Exactly. No, it's completely different.
Alex, you're back on the clock. JL's got Bijan and Sam Laporta, the only 2 non-quarterback picks so far. Where would you be rolling here?
Yeah, I think that I have to go for a running back that is just the human version of electricity in Jahmyr Gibbs. I know he hasn't had the hottest start in the NFL, but I just love watching the tape. I love the highlights. I love everything that he's doing, his skill set of like a modern NFL running back. So all things to me scream Jahmyr Gibbs.
Dude, I thought about taking him where I took Bijan. And I was like, nah, I can't do that. I got to take Bijan. But that's the type, like the fact that he made me think about it tells you what kind of player he is.
Yep.
And I think we've seen it recently with the David Montgomery injury that he suffered, right? But I know people were wildly disappointed in Jahmyr Gibbs at the beginning of the season. They were expecting him to come in and just be the complete workhorse in an offense that showed that it liked running backs who played like David Montgomery last season. Alex, you're not scared off at all by the split in workload here between the two backs?
Yeah, I mean, of course you have to be scared because David Montgomery has been the thunder. But I think if we've seen anything this year in the last couple years is like the days of running backs seeing like 80% of the snaps are completely gone. And as long as Gibbs is getting like, 15 to 20 touches a game because of how much they use their running backs, I think I'll be really happy with it. I mean, the Alvin Kamara comparison continues to look more and more correct with every passing game at this point. And he's always been someone that never had to see the high workload, but if he did, he produced. If he didn't, he still produced. And I think Gibbs will be similar.
I love the Kamara call out in regards to workload comparisons. And it's absurd that any player can somewhat accurately be compared to Alvin Kamara because I had never seen a running back play like that dude, but Gibbs captures some of that electricity.
He's got that like rookie freshness too, just like the extra energy after the plays that you just like. I feel like Zeke had that for like a couple years. Now Zeke's like,
Zeke's reached the point in life where he realizes that your body is in fact only going downhill. It's like a physical depression that just lives with you for the rest of your life.
It's dark.
It never leaves. I'm already feeling it. The physical decline. It's not the same as what it used to be.
When I climb out of bed in the morning, I go, oof. And I'm just like, why did I do that?
My back is hurt for 3 weeks and I have no idea why.
Victor stopped by, says it's Alex Caruso.
Let's go.
Hey, Alex, can I borrow $1,000? I still remember JL calling you during the show. Good times. Miss you for chachos.
Texas Rangers.
Yeah, that was Texas.
No. It was the other one that was like
Feeling
Texas
Lucky
Rangers.
Punk.
Feeling Lucky Punk, that's what it was.
Yeah, Alex, that was the nicest response JL got out of it.
You're like, yeah, man.
You were immediately like, you were like, yeah, just
boom, hang up.
I hope you're all right.
Hey, certain things you got to do for people, and JL's one of those people I would happily do it for. I know he'd get me back eventually, especially if he wins a guillotine league. I mean, I know that it'll come right back to me.
That's what I'm saying. Nico Collins, bring me to victory.
Alex, are you starting Jahmyr Gibbs with any level of confidence in the fantasy playoffs with the return of David Montgomery?
100%. I mean, the workload has still been there. Again, touches, rookies getting better. I like their schedule down the stretch. All things pointing up for Jahmyr Gibbs. He's probably a locked and loaded top 15 running back, any format, rest of the year.
Well, we got 2 running backs off the board now, 3 quarterbacks, a tight end. Where are you going to be going next with your next pick, Alex?
Well, obviously, JL took one player that is setting rookie records at his position right now. So why not take another rookie that is setting records across the board at his position, and none other than Puka Nacua. Obviously, real life great NFL talent. He is someone that is just fun to watch. The best wide receiver in this draft class so far. How could I not pick him right here?
I was curious if Puka was going to be the first wide receiver off the board, and I hadn't decided yet if he was my number 1 wide receiver, right? Because we go in with all these priors, with these measurables, with the stats from college, but then we see it on the field, and Puka has undeniably been the best rookie wide receiver in on-the-field product. But is that enough to have him as the top wide receiver? Alex clearly thinks that. John Luke, would you have taken Puka Nacua as the first wide receiver?
I would have thought about it for sure. He is at the top of my list, but there's one other wide receiver who I like a little better.
You like a little better, so not Puka Nacua. But you do think Puka Nacua maybe deserves to be drafted a little higher than he was in the actual NFL draft.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's proven it on the field. And I feel like once you have a player who comes out that strongly, shows that type of performance, unless he has like a really drawn out, sustained period where he is underperforming and it's clearly him, that momentum is going to keep him afloat in getting opportunities for the next few years.
Just some wide receivers drafted ahead of Puka Nacua in this year's NFL draft. Tyler Scott, Charlie Jones, Trey Tucker, Darius Davis, Justin Shorter, Michael Wilson. All of those guys went ahead of Puka Nacua. And that's not even getting into the higher name guys that are still disappointing, like a Cedric Tillman or a Rashee Rice or a Marvin Mims. Puka definitely deserves to be up there in the upper echelon of those guys, at least. Well, John Luke, Is that wide receiver you were talking about going to be your next pick, or are you going a different route here?
Yes. I'm going Zay Flowers, baby.
Zay Flowers ahead of, I guess I can start naming ahead of everybody.
All of them that haven't been picked so far, yeah.
But you would end up picking him over Puka Nacua as well?
It's close. Those two guys are close. I think the Zay Flowers part of that is really liking the player that he is, the type of player that he is. I think he is what he's shown us is that maybe Zay Flowers isn't as successful on an offense that isn't the Ravens, led by Lamar Jackson. But I think he could elevate most NFL offenses. And I think the fact that he's not as stereo or what's the word I'm looking for? Like conventional or typical, prototypical. Boom. That's it. Prototypical. I see as an advantage. I think teams are having a harder time trying to figure him out. And I think that gives him an edge to be able to create separation.
And we're seeing the NFL shift towards these little fast playmakers, right? Like these shorter, faster playmakers. It's
led by their shepherd, Mike McDaniel.
Mike McDaniel is shepherding in the era of the little fast guy. It's your time to rise. No longer are you the second tier NFL player. It's your time. And Joe, I'm with you. Zay Flowers seems to fit in this offense perfectly. It seems to fit the way the NFL is trending perfectly. And while maybe not as explosive as we would have hoped from his rookie year, he's shown everything that got people excited for him.
He's exceeded my expectations this year.
Exceeded. Alex, where do you stand on Zay Flowers?
I wouldn't have him as a top 2 wide receiver as a rookie, honestly. More just because of the offense that he's in right now. I think in my own special CJ Stroud-led offense, I think he'd be a little bit more productive, maybe a little bit better than a Tank Dell would have been at this point. But I really do like Zay Flowers. He'd probably be my number 3 wide receiver in this class so far, maybe number 4.
Number 3 or number 4. I think that's fair. There's a couple guys that are still up there near him, and I'm going to take one of them with my next pick. I'm going to take JSN. Jackson Smith-Njigba is still the elite talent that he was whenever he got drafted, and we're starting to see him come on over the back half of the season. And I feel like with Bryce Young and JSN, I'm taking the guys that just kind of got to be taken. It's not the ones that have broken out. It's the ones who have done about what expected or a little bit less than, but we still have high expectations of them. What we've seen over the second half of the season, though, has given me reason to believe that all of our priors about JSN were true, that he can be that elite wide receiver for fantasy. Alex, are you buying into JSN based on this second half performance?
Yeah, I definitely am going to be buying him. He's one of the 3 guys I would have above Zay Flowers right now. He was my favorite wide receiver coming out. He's shown signs even with this offense. They have the perfect playoff schedule for fantasy football wise coming up. So I am all in on JSN right now, and I'm really excited to see what he does in the last couple of weeks.
Joe, is he a playoff startable player, or if you're in the playoffs, are you putting your marbles somewhere else?
No, he's definitely playoff startable. It's all going to come down to your team, like your league, of course, because leagues fluctuate. But he's consistently returning close to 10 fantasy points every single week, which for a wide receiver 3 or up to like the wide receiver 4, it's exactly what you're looking for. Slot him in. His playoff schedule, like Alex mentioned, is decent.
Dick Sickles in here saying, I can't wait until JSN is a more dominant part of Seattle's offense. Yeah, the highlights we've gotten from him out of the limited play this season have been electric. I'll never say that word again. I've said it too many times this show. I'm excited till we get a full slate of playing time from JSN. And Scampers wants to know, JSN even over Jackson Bobo? Alex.
Good question.
Jackson Bobo. Yeah, I still have to take Smith-Njigba, but Jackson Bobo has definitely been impressive.
It's really close. It's really close. Dylan in here has a question for us.
What's up, Dylan?
What's up, Dylan? Welcome in. Said, hey, quick question. Are y'all even considering grabbing Joshua Kelly with news that he might get more snaps in the backfield? Only reason I consider is good playoff schedule. But and for those of you that haven't heard, Staley came out and talked about it, maybe having to mix things up at the running back position because they haven't quite found the groove that they've been looking for. That could mean more touches for Joshua Kelly, but it was unclear. Alex, where do you stand on this?
I wouldn't touch Joshua Kelly. Like, I would rather leave my lineup blank than start Joshua Kelly after how badly he burned me. at the beginning of the season. I mean, he had multiple games without Austin Eckler, and like he just could not have been worse or less impressive in those games. Obviously, Dylan, I am extremely bitter. I think he's worth a pickup, but as long as Austin Eckler's there, even without him, he was still terrible, and I don't expect anything different regardless of playoff schedule.
John Luke, you feel similarly?
Yeah, I wonder if what we're going to start to see here is Brandon Staley fighting for his job. And it's hard for me to tell when some of these decisions start to get into that realm, start to become increasingly less logical. And Joshua Kelly, that's not what I want to rely on for fantasy. Joshua Kelly is part of that group, and he's not the dominant part. He's like he might have a chance, and so it's just a little too much risk.
I think Staley's lost that fight. I think his job's done unless he pulls a conference championship out of his ass at the end of this season out of nowhere. I think this is his last season as the Los Angeles Chargers head coach. It would take not just making the playoffs, but having a run in the playoffs as well to save him. That being said, this is the decision I was talking about earlier, guys. I've got Austin Eckler in a guillotine league, and these comments are giving me some pause. I have another running back option. My running backs are Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara, Bijan Robinson, and Austin Eckler. Do I dare bench Austin Eckler because of the uncertainty of this Los Angeles Chargers backfield?
Sure. He's got less than 10 points the last 3 weeks.
Bad. Yeah, it's been bad.
It's been really bad.
Yeah, those three running backs you have, all better.
Damn, that just hurts. Going in, Austin Eckler gets you there, and then you just leave him on the bench.
He's old
also,
like us now.
Dame said you can find those up there. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyone remember?
Nope.
Well, Dame, let us know. Also, Dylan, that doesn't mean Joshua Kelly's not worth a pickup, like Alex said. Yeah. You could hold on to Joshua Kelly, see how he's used, but I would not be plugging him in this week. Absolutely not. See what Brandon Staley's words meant, and if it actually meant something, you'll be a week ahead of your league mates on the waiver wire.
Yeah, I guess the question was, should I pick him up? Which, yeah, it's probably worth stashing, depending on who you can drop.
All right. Well, that brings me to my next pick, and finally, I'm taking a fun one. I'm going to take Devon Achane with my next pick. He has been, oh God. He has been so fast and full of electricity. Electrifying, some may say, but not electric. No. In this Mike McDaniel offense, he's the perfect kind of player. Another small, fast guy, right? And in the burst that we've seen, even with success from Raheem Mostert, he's already carved out a role here. I want him on my team.
Love that.
Yeah, it's a great pick.
So beyond electric. And again, rookies generally just get better. So it'll be interesting to see what it looks like, especially as Raheem Mostert next year will be 1 year older. And Devon Achane will probably have 1 year more better after an offseason to train, for lack of a better word.
Nailed it.
So I love the pick.
1 year Mo Betta from Devon Achane.
Have you guys watched Hard Knocks, the in-season Hard Knocks with the Dolphins?
No, I have not.
I highly recommend it. It is very good, and it is just making me love the Dolphins even more. Very special team.
Jill, I'm going to be honest. I don't know why I've never watched an episode of Hard Knocks. It is everything I could ask for in a television show. I love reality TV. I love football. I love the emotion and drama and the human connection behind like team sports. But there's some sort of like barrier in my wall that's like, or in my head that's like, watch RuPaul's Drag Race instead. Like, don't watch Hard Knocks.
You got to do it. This is the perfect time to do it because you like the team, you like the coach.
All right, Jill, it's your pick.
All righty. My next pick. I'm between wide receivers here. I'm going to go with Jordan Addison.
Oh, come on.
Did I get you again?
You got me again. I was like, he's not going to take another receiver. He needs a QB.
No, I got to go receiver here. Listen, 21 years old. I know his season hasn't been insanely amazing, but I am wildly optimistic for Jordan Addison. And the age part is so crucial. Tank Dell, 24. He's basically a grandpa. Give me Jordan Addison.
Tank Dell graduated college at the same age I did, and that's not a good thing, Tank. Jail, I like that pick right there. And no concern for the future of the quarterback position affecting Jordan Addison in fantasy. Do you think
can't get much worse than what it is now?
Hey, do not. He had one bad game. Josh Dobbs comes in, leads them to victory twice.
No,
in
not
a
Josh
row.
Dobbs. Kirk Cousins. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Greek Yokirk.
Okay. Yeah, you can disparage Kirk Cousins. He deserves it. But Josh Dobbs does not deserve
Josh Dobbs
disparaging comments. Alex, I know this is only tangentially related to Jordan Addison, but I want to get your opinion on it. Justin Jefferson is expected to come back this week. Josh Dobbs has been the starting quarterback, was named the starting quarterback coming out of the bye, even after the abysmal performance in week 12. Are you starting Justin Jefferson or any of these other receiving options for the Vikings with any level of confidence this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think Justin Jefferson, the number one pick in all of fantasy football this year, no matter what, if he's on the field, it could be with me at quarterback. Maybe not with me, but that would be bad. But mostly if he's going to be playing, yeah, maybe you. But no matter who's the quarterback, he should be in your lineup as far as, fantasy football. TJ Hawkinson, same thing. We don't have a lot of great tight end options. You have to start him. Jordan Addison's the one that I'd probably be leaning towards sitting because he's the number 3 option in this offense. And I don't know if the volume is still going to be there. I love the player. I would have taken him on my team personally. But again, number 3 option with Josh Dobbs at QB. No, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. We'll just say that.
Dick Sickles in here says, love the Addison pick. And not just because I'm a Vikings fan, but partially.
Because you like Addison.
Also, Scamper said, McDaniel is quickly becoming my favorite football entity of all time. I had the thought the other day that I don't think a video of him has come across my Twitter or TikTok that I haven't liked immediately or saved in some way, shape, or form. Every interaction I see of that man I save, I'm like, yeah, I want to see this again later.
And there's also nothing negative about him. Like, you don't see anyone that's complaining about the coaching or complaining about who he is as a person. Like, regardless of you saving videos, like, there's just nothing out there, and like no one says anything bad about him, which is usually a pretty good thing.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned it on the show before, but my favorite clip of him was him mentioning that he got asked about the vaping thing on a podcast. Did you see this, Alex?
No, I did not.
He got asked about the vaping on the sideline thing because it went viral. And he said that was the last day he ever vaped because he got so sick of people talking about it. So he quit cold turkey the second that photo came out.
That's crazy.
Because it got annoying.
It's probably not easy to do. I don't know how long you had been doing it for, but good for him.
That's pretty funny. Very Mike McDaniel, it seems like. Very extreme on or off. Alex, it's your next pick. You got sniped again. First Sam Laporta, now Jordan Addison. Where are you going here?
Can I be honest?
Please.
JL sniping me might be the best thing to happen in this whole draft right now.
No way.
I'm so glad I did not take Jordan Addison because I think one of the things that, can go wrong for a rookie wide receiver with a quarterback is no chemistry. So how about I just take a guy that already has chemistry and is a rookie with CJ Stroud and take Tank Dell? JL was disparaging him for his age, but we saw what a duo they were. I mean, he was almost already a top 12 wide receiver and getting better every single week in the back half of the season. So only imagine what they could do with a full year. Jordan Addison would have been the wrong pick. Tank Dell is the correct pick. Thank you for letting me have him.
And he's like an elder role model for his quarterback as well. Know what I mean? He can guide him through all of the life experiences that CJ hasn't yet been through.
But he's got the rookie tag, so nobody realizes it. Oh, you're a young guy.
Nah, I bet you redo the NFL draft today. There's no way in hell the NFL lets Tank Dell get paired up with CJ Stroud. He's not falling that far to the Texans. He's going a little bit early.
Oh, that'd be so fun if that was a mechanic in the NFL. Like 3/4 of the way through their first year, teams got to draft them again. Or like steal them away from another team.
It's like if the NFL had like Hunger Games rules with like the quarter quell, where once every 25 years they just add some weird ass rule. And this year, after 12 weeks, we will redraft every rookie.
They just become like interns on their team rookie year.
Yeah, it's like an advanced development program. You get to try a couple positions out at a couple different teams before they give you your final placement.
Yeah, and that's really, really interesting. Hello. I have an interesting final pick right here. I have a dilemma because we can pick defense, right?
We did not have defense as part of this.
Okay, good. That's even better. That's really good that we can only do offensive players because I've been sniped twice by the same person on this show. So how about I go back don't let him have a quarterback, so he has to really struggle. And I will go with Will Levis for my final pick. Why not have a second quarterback with all these high-powered options?
If you didn't take Will Levis and JL didn't take Will Levis, I wasn't going to let him sneak out of this draft without being picked. He's got too much heart to leave 5 rounds of drafting without someone taking him.
It's fine. I'll take Hendon Hooker, the same player.
Yeah, basically the same, right? just a broken leg. And speaking of old, isn't Hendon Hooker like 27?
I think so. He is very aged.
How old is Hendon Hooker? He's 25 years old. That's old for a rookie.
It's pretty old. Will Levis is a great pick.
No, we talked about him a little bit earlier. I tend to agree with you guys. He's good enough to probably be the week 1 starter next year for the Tennessee Titans. We'll see if he develops further and holds on to that job. I'm not holding my breath, but I'm also not counting him out yet. John Luke, there are so many players left. We could probably do an additional round if we wanted to here. Who are you going with your next one?
All right, my next pick here. I'm just gonna punt QB. I don't want Hooker. Now you took Levis. I didn't even want Levis, but I would have probably had to take him. So you might have just done me a favor, Alex. Thank you. the Uno reverse. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with Quentin Johnston.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That feels bad.
Sorry,
that feels not good.
Did I do that out loud? JL, if this would have been pre-NFL season, I would have said you got the pick of the draft. That was the steal so far. I can't believe such an athletic wide receiver fell that far. A big-bodied Mike Evans-like player with Justin Herbert as his quarterback fell to the 5th round in this draft. But after what I've seen through 13 weeks, God, he's made an unbeliever out of me. And I was all in on Quentin Johnston to start the season, to quote Vampire Weekend.
I'm hoping he's a rookie. You know, it's tough to acclimate immediately to the NFL. We've seen wide receivers who have had very iffy starts. I agree with you, Simon. It's been disappointing so far. But what I've seen over the middle of the season has been an increase in targets. And so I'm hoping that is promising. He's just able to get it going. And who knows? When they fire Staley and it's just Justin Herbert running that offense from now on, then maybe Quentin Johnston will have a great time.
Head coach, offensive coordinator, and starting quarterback Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
And John Luke, you bring up a great point about Quentin Johnston. Something I chose to ignore in the pre-draft process was that he was viewed by most NFL scouts as a project player, as a developmental player, as a player that wasn't necessarily NFL ready, and he's not. We've clearly seen that this year. Alex, do you have any optimism for Quentin Johnston? Or are you feeling how I reacted to JL's pick?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, I don't blame your reaction at all. He couldn't have been more disappointing. And I know that, some really much smarter people than I am on Twitter pointed out the comparisons of players with like this low receiving yards through their rookie year at this point has been really, really bad. I think the thing that really terrifies me about Quentin Johnston is the fact that, Mike Williams got hurt, Josh Palmer got hurt, Austin Eckler looks like a shell of himself, and Keenan Allen is still old, and Quentin Johnson.
The targets there might be another reason for those.
Yeah. I mean, like he's had everything that possibly could have gone his way go his way, and like if you told me all these guys would get hurt, I would have been like, this guy's like a top 20 wide receiver this season. So maybe it's Josh Kelly syndrome where I'm just completely burnt and bitter as I tend to be. But point. I not someone I would be drafting, but I love JL and I respect his opinion. I don't mind after this night.
Oh, the backhanded slap.
That being said, Quentin Johnston under forever.
Yeah.
Mr. Scammer's down here saying Tommy DeVito is still available. JL. And I don't know why I said available. Because he's a Bay. Dick Sickles said Bill Belichick to the Chargers.
Oh, God. Oh, that would be the worst sequence of events.
And for who? For everyone?
I think for everyone involved. The Chargers, I feel like everything they represent is the opposite of what Bill Belichick represents.
The team that Bill Belichick has put together this year, that offense, I've never been less excited about an NFL offense than this year's Patriots team. Like that,
It feels like Belichick is just like only focused on beating Shula's win record. And that's all he cares about is that. Once he gets that, he's going to do something else.
And clean rips on his hoodie sleeves.
Yeah.
Do you think he's got like a closet full of like the mess ups, like where it went a little too deep, where he accidentally exposed the nipple with the rip or anything?
No, I think it's all in one hamper in his closet.
He just keeps them in one spot.
He just pulls them out.
You guys want to go? You guys want to go one more round or end it here after 5?
Yeah, let's do one more.
We'll do one more. All right. My next pick here, I'm going to go back to the tight end. Well, we've only had one taken, and I've said multiple times that it is the year of the rookie tight end, at least for fantasy football. But we have seen multiple dudes step up early into their careers. I'll take the guy who stepped up in absence of Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. I've loved what I've seen from him on this Bills offense. It was a slow start. He started behind the starter in one of the hardest positions to acclimate to in the NFL. He got his opportunity due to injury, and he's looked great in an offense that has been struggling more than we anticipated. See that kind of production from a rookie tight end gives me great signs that he's going to be a long-term valuable asset for any NFL team.
Like that a lot.
But Sam Laporta is still over him. Kincaid's my number 2, though. And I guess that puts me back on the clock again, and I'm tempted to go back to the tight end well one more time, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm going to take a wide receiver here. One more wide receiver in Josh Downs. The target volume he's gotten there in Indianapolis has been nice. I know he's had a case of the drops the past couple of weeks, but that's not a sticky stat, especially for a rookie playing with a new quarterback, right? So I liked what I've seen. We're getting to the point where there's something to say about each one of these players. Josh Downs has shown more than a lot of the other names on the board. Yeah, we've had good games from Mingo. Reed has stepped up in the absence of some other players, but consistency-wise, we've seen a little bit more from Downs.
That's a good pick.
All right, John Luke, you're back on the clock.
Back on the clock I am. I'm going to go with a player that Simon had a lot of hope for. Zach Charbonnet.
I did have so much hope.
A little less hope now, but that's okay. I think that Seahawks offense is a little bloated right now, and I think next season we'll see that thin out a bit. I think Kenneth Walker will still be there, but Charbonnet will have more opportunities.
Is it 2 N's, 1 T, or 1 N, 2 T's?
Oh, I lost it.
I think it's 2 N's, 1 T. I think I nailed it.
It's 1 B, 2 N's, 1 T. I just threw that in for fun.
Bring it. No, Jill, I like that pick. And it's not like we haven't seen what got me excited for Charbonnet, right? When given the opportunity, especially over the second half of the season, we see those flashes. We see those plays where I like giggle to myself and I'm like, there he is. But unfortunately, Kenneth Walker's very, very good. And that was my downfall. I don't think I misevaluated
Leonardo DiCaprio GIF, him pointing at the TV.
Exactly.
That's
exactly what I am. But Kenneth Walker's in the way, and I underestimated Kenneth Walker. I don't think I overestimated Zach Charbonnet. I just really downplayed how big of a stud was sitting there in front of him on the depth chart. All right, well, that brings us up to our last pick in this draft, Alex. Wrap us up. Player number, do some math, Simon, 18.
Wow. That 18 is crazy. There's still one player that has been completely missed upon this whole draft. Maybe the most underrated wide receiver in this draft class that I think will be the number 1 receiver for his team by game 1 of next year if he's not already. It's got to be Jaden Reed for the Packers. Someone I heavily doubted. I have 2 outside wide receivers right now. I need a guy that can play in the slot. Jaden Reed fits that with the double quarterbacks that I have on this team. I think that he's one of the more underrated receivers, one of the players that I was the most wrong about. I'm excited to see what he can do. I think he's a perfect player to take to finish off my draft.
Is Jaden Reed's playing this week, right? There's a lot of injuries for that Packers wide receiver core, but we'll see Jaden Reed out there, right?
Yep, I believe so.
Are you comfortable starting him? We've had some recent good games from Jordan Love. I know Wicks has been getting the hype, but Jaden Reed seems to maybe be the steadier guy there.
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as fantasy football, I don't know if I'd be completely starting him this week because his offense has been a little bit suspect. I think I'm more taking him for the long-term upside. But I don't know about this week, especially with the injury news and, with Wicks and Watson and Dobbs, like all playing right now. I think it worries me a little bit right now. But again, week 1 next year, he's definitely in my lineup.
Also, Scampers down here saying Pop, Keaton, and Tajay all honorable mention. Spears almost was my last round pick instead of Downs. I love what we've seen from him behind Derrick Henry so far this year. And Craig wants to know, where are the IDP names? They're in your head, Craig.
In your butt.
And your butt. Half in your head, half in your butt. The good ones in your butt, the bad ones in your head. It's backwards with IDP than it is with regular. Dick Sickles in here said, I still can't believe Charbonnet went to the Seahawks. He'll be a guy at some point.
I remember being up. I was like traveling, and I was in upstate New York watching the draft on the phone or on the Discord with Simon, someone else. I remember Simon just yelling, "No!"
Whenever Charbonnet
was drafted, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that one hurt. What was the other one that stung? Though I think it stings a little less now. It was Abanaconda going to the Jets. I wanted him to land somewhere where he would get an opportunity, but then he landed there with the Jets, and it was just like, I guess we'll never know now. Now we'll never know if he's good at football. Alex, if you had to pick one of these picks out as the maybe most surprising, or the value is the most surprising to you, given what you knew before the season, not necessarily which pick was the worst, but
good value or bad value?
Which players' current value, either good or bad? So basically the delta from where they were before the season started surprises you the most.
Sure. I think it's going to be Devon Achane. I think that he's someone that has some of the highest upside and also has some of the highest bust potential with some of the injuries we've seen so far. Can he really be the guy? Can he handle a full workload? But I think there's also a non-zero chance right now that like he's like so far as a rookie in like the top 3 running backs of all time in fantasy points per game as a rookie. I mean, and the guys that are next to him are both Hall of Famers. So it's like there's the Hall of Fame upside potentially with what he's shown so far, and then there's like the bottom zero. So I think that he's probably my most interesting pick value wise, because I'm gonna take the fact that I think that he's more likely to be really good than really bad.
Mike McDaniel's like the ruthless army general that just sends his troops out there to like be slaughtered to lower the defenses, but he just does it with a bunch of little guys. He just creates an army of little guys that tear their ACLs one by one by one. Bring it. I've got 18 more little guys on the practice squad.
They all come running out at once. That's exactly what I was imagining.
Alex, I love that one. That's a great call out. I'm going to go with Sam Laporta. It's not that we didn't have high hopes for him, but even with the expectations, I did not expect number 1 overall dynasty tight end. I did not expect a guy that I'm already valuing similarly to a Travis Kelce type of player in dynasty from Sam Laporta. Like that change in value, even with the preseason hype, right? We get these players that get hyped up because of their preseason usage all the time. And it usually means a good sign, but not a like truly predictive sign of their in-season performance. With Laporta, the preseason reports, the preseason usage, turns out he's the dude. And we're going to be talking about him for a long time. He's going to be a staple in fantasy for, I don't know, probably until I have children.
Wow.
Then he'll have to retire because he'll be my babysitter.
That's how all tight ends work.
Joe, what about you? Any big surprises?
Puka Nacua and CJ Stroud are the 2 big ones for sure.
Yeah, I know CJ Stroud, like that sounds silly, but I almost picked him. I know he was the second quarterback drafted, but it was a big jump to number 1 for me. I really doubted him, and I'm completely flipped the script on how I feel about CJ Stroud.
Yep.
All right, well, that's going to be it for us today with this draft, guys. I always love doing a peek back after we have a little bit more data. Alex, thank you so much for taking the time to come and hang out with us today.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm beyond happy to be here. I'll come here, do this show anytime to hopefully make my 8th appearance eventually, especially if it's Jeopardy. I can continue my undefeated streak on Jeopardy. I would love to come back. But again, appreciate you having me. Can't wait to see what happens tonight in the Under Bowl, but it'll be awesome to see.
Oh,
yeah, make sure you go follow Alex. We alluded to it earlier in the show, but he is putting out some fire picks right now. If you like betting, if you like NFL, if you like sports, this guy's he's got all the info.
And if you like handsome, tall men, he also happens to be one of those. So you
also fits into that category.
Check him out on Twitter at Alex Caruso and on TikTok at Alex Caruso Bets. Good news, if you're not sick of us, Or if you have questions heading into week 14, right after this, in about 5 minutes, John Luke and I are going to be live for some fantasy football office hours. So come visit your favorite sexy professors and bring any and all questions that you have for us heading into week 14, heading into the playoffs, or heading into your off season. If you missed the playoffs, like I did in a couple of leagues, maybe you got some off season type questions for us. Until then, though, one potty break away. We will see you guys right here on the same YouTube channel. One more reminder to go follow Alex. One more reminder to take care of yourself on this Thursday night as we head into Thursday night football. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see y'all very shortly.
Bye-bye.